What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Ian Wendt Show. I have an awesome guest today, good buddy of mine, Tanner Godfrey, the myth, the man, the myth, legend. I think that's how it goes. The man, the myth, and the legend. It's already been a morning, but anyway, I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce himself.
Howdy, I'm Tanner Godfrey.
Howdy.
Howdy, partner.
This is going to be a fun episode. Yeah, tell everybody a little about yourself, though, dude.
Born and raised in Utah. Grew up doing all the sports and riding motorcycles and racing BMX and just being a kid.
Yeah, he's being very humble. Tanner was part of, did it start out as Nitro Circus or what did it start out as?
So my uncle started, Greg Godfrey, he started filming videos because back in the day, that's what
This is what, like early 2000s?
He started in the 90s, and then 2000s he did Children of the Metal God, and then Global Addiction, and then Nitro Circus was born early 2000s, I think.
Okay.
And so him and his buddies started that, and then Travis Pastrana and them merged, and then it just grew into a monster.
Yeah, and so we'll get to the accident and everything like that, but prior to that, how did kind of walk us through how you got involved? And I mean, you just basically were riding as a kid, probably because it ran in the family for so long. And
yeah, so I started riding when I was little, and we would do everything every year for Easter. We'd go out to the desert and go ride out in the salt flats and whatnot. And then Thanksgiving was another big time of riding, and so we were always together doing stuff. And so they filmed a lot down in Caneville, but we would go down to central Utah, Caneville, which is where they shot a lot of stuff, and ride down there. I mean, we were riding a lot.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, it's just, for you guys, it was just lifestyle.
Yeah. And it wasn't like we were doing anything crazy. We were just out riding trails. And every time we go out, we'd usually have a machine that would break down or run out of gas, and we'd be running into the night without lights on most of the machines. And so everything always turned into a rescue mission.
Okay, hold on. So, but here's the thing. When you say we weren't doing anything crazy, not doing anything crazy for you is not the standard of most people not doing anything crazy. Like, that's just the reality. So let's just back that up a little bit, because your crazy is far different than most people's crazy. I can just tell you, like, I don't know all the guys from Nitro, but I know, a few of them. I know, like, obviously Colton's a good friend of mine. He wasn't like a huge part of Nitro, but that's how I kind of met everybody else too. But I know Ethan and those guys, and like, yeah, dude, the things that you guys do is absolutely mind blowing. Like, and that's not even saying enough. It's just, it's next level crazy. Like, most people don't have a brain that tells them, yeah, this is a good idea. Like, everything I watch those guys do, I'm just like, holy crap, dude. What's the one guy's name that's absolutely phenomenal? So much fun to watch. He's probably my favorite one to watch is the BMX guy. What the freak is his?
R. Willie.
R. Willie, dude. What's it? It's Ryan, right?
Yeah.
Ryan, what's his
Williams.
name? Ryan Williams. Bro, he has to be arguably one of the best of all time.
Yeah,
is he not the best of all time right now?
He does a lot of things that you didn't think would be possible. That's for sure.
Yeah. What's his biggest trick recently I think it was like a version of it was a front flip of some kind, wasn't it? Wasn't it like a double or a triple front flip or something? But he throws his bike in front of him too.
Oh, he does. Bike flip. He does a lot of things that you don't think would be possible.
What was what was that one that he did that's like it shows up in my Facebook and Instagram feed like probably twice a day?
I don't know. He does so many that, like, he does the triple front flip whenever he wants to his big bag. I mean, he does a lot of video game tricks.
Yeah, it literally looks like you're watching someone.
And he was just a scooter boy. Like, he started off as a scooter boy from Australia, and so he still does the scootering, but.
Like, hold on, like Razor scooter?
Yeah, Razor scooters.
What?
Yeah, so that's where he got his big start into the Nitro stuff, was scooters.
No
and then
way.
He morphed into BMX.
What in the world made him go from scooter to BMX, I wonder? That's crazy. That's a crazy...
Because he could.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, when and it was the Nitro Circus tour. They hit the mega ramp, and my brothers and cousins did it for years, and they spent a lot of time, and they jump contraptions, trikes, everything on it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
So you just kind of have the opportunity to do whatever. And so he slowly started getting into the bikes, and by slow, I mean, he was double flipping a bike probably pretty darn quick. So they're all kind of that elite athlete of the extreme sports world.
That's the perfect way to put it, though. It really is an elite athlete. Like I wouldn't say people don't think of them as athletes, but I think it's more of like I don't even know it, but that's the way to look at it. I think there's some of the most elite athletes that the world has. Like it takes
in
another,
the extreme sports, like your concentration to be able to do a lot of the tricks that they're doing with the bikes and whatnot, and to spot your landing when you're doing a triple, you have to be able to focus pretty good on. Because I mean, the big difference between the extreme sports and like ball sports, professional football, those types of things, is it's like every time you go out and do something could be a time that you get hurt really bad.
or
Because there's because their jump that they were doing with the mega ramp, it's like a 25 to 40 foot gap. I can't remember how big it is. Like it's a big gap, and they're dropping 60 to 70 feet off the rolling, maybe higher. And like they've got it dialed to where they're pulling double flips, no problem. Like you would jumping, like they're very dialed in what they do.
It's become like second nature for them because they do it so much.
They've got their safe tricks that they can do, but there's like they push the envelope, but it's kind of slowed down. I mean that's the funny thing is a safe trick's a double.
Right. Yeah. So that actually takes it back to what I was saying, where it's like everybody's crazy is like your crazy is not everybody's crazy. And it goes to that point of you saying like a double front flip, a double back flip is just kind of like another day for them. Right. Like it's just crazy to think about that. You know, what's interesting though, as you were talking, it made me think like, you said, for example, when they're doing a triple front flip, they have to be able to spot their landing and also stay really focused. I think that's probably what makes you guys so elite, is the ability to not only like face and conquer fear, but at the exact same time of being in that place where you're conquering fear, you have to also focus on the task at hand. That to me seems like a skill that most people do not have and is a lot harder to develop than most people think. And I think what it just correct me if I'm wrong, but I would just imagine that it just takes literal sheer will to put yourself in danger in because of the love of the sport and the desire to be great at it.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of stupidity and then you just, I don't know, there's adrenaline really is a hell of a drug, and you just keep pushing the envelope a little bit more to keep chasing that feeling. But a lot of the stuff that seems crazy is very calculated in a way that, like, there's definitely stuff that people take the risks, like that is just like, it could turn out, it could not. And then there's other things where it's like, they've got it pretty dialed. So there's a lot of calculated risk. Like, it's not like you're going to do it completely just on a whim. Like, I think I might be able to do this. It's like you have the confidence to at least know, well, I'm confident in my ability as long as everything goes to plan.
And correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the tricks are just combinations of other tricks. So it's like, if I know I can do this and this, then I'm pretty sure I can combine the two and do this.
Yeah. And like my brother Gavin and my cousin Ethan, they set out to do a triple backflip on a mountain bike, and we built this ramp out at Godfrey Trucking. It was a semi backed up on top of the hill, a trailer with a ramp built on top of it. And then it was about a 70-foot roll in to a 12 or 15-foot lip that was pretty darn steep. And then it was about a 30-foot gap, and the landing was like 20 feet tall. And it was a massive jump. Like, doubling it was hard because there was so much airtime, you'd almost over rotate. And so they practiced doing airbag first, and then
And when you say
went to this-
airbag, what
so
do you-
it's like a massive,
for people that don't understand.
a massive pillow they would land on that was full of air. So when they'd hit it, it would absorb it. So instead of a foam pit, it was a movable piece that you could put anywhere.
Dude, I think foam pits are dangerous. Look,
they are.
The only time that I've ever gotten hurt in a foam pit, I was doing a front flip and I freaking kneed myself in the face because I landed wrong in the foam pit. And that was the last time that I was like, oh yeah, foam pits will stop me from getting hurt. Like,
yeah, I've jumped into a foam pit. So in 2013, we went back to Travis's house, Travis Pastrana, and they threw me onto a dirt bike and we duct taped my feet. So we had to hurry and duct tape my left foot, hold my leg out, start the bike with my right leg. With somebody would hold my leg, start the bike, put my leg on, duct tape it. And then Travis told me, he said, hey, hit this ramp, first gear, just kind of put up to it, and then just let her eat at the bottom of it. And I'd never really hit ramps. And so I was going to do a backflip into the foam pit. And
you're paralyzed at this point.
Yeah, I broke my back
Which
in 07.
we're going to get into. We haven't talked about this yet, but we'll get into that.
So
Keep
I broke
going.
in 07. I was paralyzed.
We'll get into
this
that. Keep
was 13. I roll up to the ramp, and this probably the most scared, first or second most scared I've ever been in my life. And I mean, I've got all the Nitro Circus athletes around, like some of the gnarliest humans on this planet.
You're not going to back down.
And yeah, it's like I said, I was going to do it, but I was just scared, and I was like, well, here we go. And I went and hit it and just let her eat at the bottom and rotated like a little over halfway. And so the bike's like, I just came head first down and bike landed on top of me. And
oh my God.
It was fine because they ended up hooking they hook a crane up and pull the bike, but you have to hurry and turn it off so the bike doesn't get too hot and start the pit on fire.
What, didn't they videoed this?
Yeah, so I got video of it.
I saw that video.
Yeah, so they do that, get me out of the foam pit, put me back on the bike, and I'm like, the duct tape fell off, and I was like, hey, we need to tape my feet again. My uncle's like, oh no, you'll be fine. It's like, okay, so I go back around.
All right, sure.
And I hit the ramp again, and as I get up and start flipping, the bike starts to flip, and then I'm just hanging underneath it.
Oh
and
my gosh, dude.
Right underneath it and just fall straight down on top of me again. And I was like, well, have to have the feet secured or else I can't hold on. And so
third time's a charm.
Yeah. So the third time we got industrial zinc, or like the big zip ties, the thick ones, and zip tied my feet to it.
You zip tied your feet to the bike.
Yeah. So the left leg we zip tied first, and then the right one, yet again, they'd hold my leg out, start it, pour water on the head pipe so that it stayed cool and it was wrapped in heat tape. And then I'd have to hurry and hit it, because if the head pipe gets too warm, then you have potential of starting the foam pit on fire. So you just want to be as fast as you can with doing it. And so I think it was on the fourth try, I ended up bringing it around and landing pretty much how you would.
Jeez. That's crazy, dude. But anyway, I interrupted you. Go back to, I have to say this though, before we go back to you talking about Ethan and Gavin, it's so funny how it's so nonchalant how you talk about something like this. Like most people would be like, what? And you're just like, yeah. So, then we zip tied my feet to the bike because we figured out that that's what we had to do to make sure that I stayed on it. And then simultaneously we also wanted, we had to worry about potentially starting the pit on fire while I was in it. So that's what I mean by you're crazy is not everybody else is crazy, but that's what makes it so much fun, dude. It's freaking awesome. But go back to Gavin and Ethan. So you're explaining.
Well, they set
out to do a double or a triple front flip on a freaking mountain bike.
Backflip on a mountain bike. And so it was just, so yeah, I mean, this just kind of came about. They wanted to do it. So we built it, had everything set up. And then the day that they decided to attempt it, there was actually the other cousin, Tyler, Ethan's little brother, tried it too. He ended up doing a double, under rotated the triple, landed on his butt. And it was like to mulch, but it was a thin layer of mulch on dirt. And so he got jacked pretty good, landing on his butt. And then my brother Gavin ended up pulling it first and rode clean.
And like specify this, because what makes it so, you know, because we see athletes do triple backflips now all the time, right? So, but a mountain bike, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason why that's such a crazy thing compared to just like a BMX is because of how much bigger the bike is and how much bigger the tires are.
Yeah, it's just bigger, so you
have to pull it around a lot.
A little bit more rotation, whatnot to deal with. But yeah, I mean, Gavin and Ethan both landed it. So it was just like, but it wasn't like, it was pretty cool. Like, it was really cool to see because they'd worked so hard on it. And I don't know if there's been many that done. I think somebody pulled a quad possibly, but my brother Gavin went to Travis's because they had a big quad set up. It was like a 90-foot roll in to like the top of the air that they would get was about 40 to 50 feet high.
When you say roll in, you're talking from
so when they drop in,
it's 90 feet to the bottom.
To the ramp, which was like 20-foot ramp.
And then the ramp is 20 feet high.
And then they were like 40 to 50 feet high from that. I think, like from the ground, and he pulled a quad to an airbag, flat airbag, but he never got it to a lander. But it's just, yeah, like
it speaks to your point where you were basically saying like they are taking calculated risks because for the majority of the time, right? Yeah. There's obviously those times where you can tell that they're like, we've never done this before, but we're going to try it live just because. Like I've seen that happen, but. For the most part, you're saying these guys, they are taking calculated risks because of how much they've already practiced and put it.
Yeah, they practice and they know their ability. Like they know they're capable of doing it. It's just doing it. Like the hardest part with some of the stuff is just committing to it. Like that's the biggest thing is just the commitment. Because once you commit, if you hesitate, that's when you get hurt. I've never done anything like these guys, but I've been snowboarding my whole life, right? And anytime you're faced with like a decision to do a different trick or, you know, do a different trail or drop in back country or something like that, that's like, it's really scary. It's what I always called it was a mental block. You just got to break past the mental block. And then once you do, it's like you're committed and you're good. But it's actually breaking past the mental block that's the hardest part because you talk yourself out of it so fast. Yeah, and the moment of hesitation is usually when you get hurt, and so it's like you almost just kind of just send it. Like it's no different than jumping off like a high cliff. When you climb up to a cliff or like something, the more you think about it,
the more you think about it, the more you're not going to go.
So it's just like you just don't think and go.
Yeah, it's true. And that I will say that is something that I've definitely learned just from I've been skydiving a few times, cliff jumping. Like it really is something where you're just like you got to just jump and forget how high it is. And then that way you're also, because I feel like when you think too much about it, you also make stupid mistakes. Like the only time I've ever gotten really hurt cliff jumping was in Lake Powell. It was that, I don't know how big that one cliff, it's that big cliff that the freaking, I think it's like, I want to say it's like 70, 80 feet, maybe, maybe 60 feet. I don't know. You've been there before. What's the biggest one?
They've got big ones. I mean, there's lots of ones, but yeah, cliff jumping, you hesitate and then as soon as you jump, you're off balance and you land funky.
Yeah. So that's what happened. I don't think it was quite 80 feet. I think it might've been like 60 or 70 feet, but it was massive, dude. And it was the same thing. I hesitated a ton right before I jumped. And I dislocated my shoulder because I came down, rolling the windows down, dude. Yeah. And then boom, just popped it out.
That sucks.
Yeah, it freaking sucked, dude. But no, that's what I was saying. Like when I said that, I think one of the reasons that these guys, or one of the things that makes these guys such elite athletes is their ability to not only break past that mental block, right? And like, commit to doing something that is so scary, but then on top of that, be able to focus in the process of doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is something that I think most people can't do or wouldn't be able to do. And you have to be able to do that to do what these guys do.
You just learn. I mean, unfortunately, the way that you learn with more of the extreme sports is you crash. And so you learn what not to do.
Sure.
And the more people crash, the more you learn.
It sounds a lot like life.
Yeah.
That was deep, Tam.
You just have a lot of broken bones with the extreme sports stuff. Like the consequences are a lot higher with that type of stuff, but the fun's a lot higher too. So,
well, let's get into that because that's one of the, your story is pretty crazy and definitely has a lot to do with broken bones. But before that, before I forget, I'm new to this thing, so I keep on forgetting to do this at the very beginning. But every single time I have a guest on, I give you guys gifts just because I want to show you guys I appreciate you coming out. You drove up from Utah to come and do this. I know it's out of your way. So go ahead and grab that bag that's to your right, and I'll walk you through what's in there. So this is a retro rifle button down or button up, whatever you want to say, I guess. It's their graffiti version.
Sweet.
And Austin, the owner of it's he's awesome, dude. And they do some really, really cool stuff. So now that is a large, but here's the thing. I also wear an extra large shirt, but I wear large retro rifles.
I'm bigger than you though, is the thing. So,
oh, okay. All right. I see that there. Well, it goes back to the text message I sent you this morning asking what size t-shirt you were. I did make the mistake of not saying t-shirt though. I said what size you were. And your response, let me read this response for everybody just because this just tells you exactly who Tanner is. I said, hey, what size are you, bro? About 6 inches if I measure from the beehole. And just in Tanner fashion. And I just said, yep, and shirt. So no, dude, but it's a really cool company. They don't like sponsor me or anything. It's just, I have a ton. Yeah, I'm wearing one of them right now. Actually, this is one of their graffiti ones too, and it's just an awesome company. It's a really, really cool product, really comfy. So
thank you.
There's that. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so
Magazine.
so that's a PMag. It's part of our monthly mag club. So every single month we make a different mag that has something to do with something that happened in that month in our history.
Oh, sweet.
Or like a pop culture thing. And it's 223-556 300 blackout. But that was, I want to say that was the July one, and it was all about Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders.
Sweet.
I just thought I thought that was very Tanner.
I like guns, so that's perfect,
dude. So enjoy that.
Of
course, First Form meat stick, freaking so good. They're so good, dude. Anytime.
Can't you eat this without? You don't chew it when you eat it, right?
This guy. Listen to this guy, guys. And then, of course, the OG Patriot tee. Everybody's got to have one. I forget if you had one already. If you already have one, I'll switch it out for another. But
you're good. Thanks.
T-shirt started it all, dude. Just every one of my guests have to have one of those.
Yeah.
So. And then that's a challenge coin for official Patriot gear, saying you're part of the family now. So
awesome.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Again, thanks for coming up. Thanks for making the time, dude. I feel like we've known each other for a long time. How long have we actually known each other? I'm trying to.
I don't know.
We've known each other for a really long time. We didn't really start like
through social media.
Yeah, and then
a while, and then
we just kind of like more linked up. It was more like what 3 years ago.
Yeah, passed across. So
no, dude, I'm glad you were able to make it out. And like I really, as I put this podcast together, I really wanted to cover people's stories and talk to people who are inspiring. And you've always been someone that's been inspiring to me, man, like genuinely. And I think people are going to get that too once we really start talking about your story. Because there's one thing to talk about all the fun stuff and, the craziness of your life, but there's another to talk about the aspect of, I don't think I've ever met somebody who appreciates life more than you do. Like, I mean, that's how I feel anyway. I don't know, maybe that's not how you feel, but that's exactly how I feel, man. Like every time I've talked to you, it's always become so apparent to me that like you've been dealt such a crazy hand and yet you're somehow able to always see the positive. And that's something I really admire.
Yeah. I mean, you don't appreciate the sun without the rain. So the more storms you go through, the more you appreciate the sun. So without the bad, you don't appreciate the good.
It's a good point.
And sometimes you have to learn it the hard way. And I've had some stuff happen, but like your mindset has to be in the way that what good can be taken from this and just kind of smile through the bullshit, honestly. Because I mean, life's going to happen to you no matter what. Like no matter what your plan is, life will happen. And so it's just having the mindset that whatever happens, I'm going to go through it and just have the best attitude I can and try to smile through it.
I love it, dude. I seriously, I really do. I love it. Yeah. So, you know, I know the story obviously, but tell everybody your story, man.
So growing up riding motorcycles and everything, we did a lot of racing, more so in the desert, and we do motocross race at Thanksgiving time down in Mesquite, Nevada. And so on Thanksgiving of 2007, we were down there doing the Thanksgiving race like normal. On, I think it was Thursday, they had a practice on the track. My dad's going, he crashes on this hill. They got a big uphill. He crashes and he compress fractures his T6, 7, and 8, which is basically behind your sternum.
Oh, I didn't know your dad crashed too.
Yeah, he fractured his bones right there. Jeez. And so he came back to the trailer and he's hunched over, could hardly stand up straight. And we thought he broke ribs or something, but he broke those vertebrae, fractured them. So my grandpa took him to the hospital in St. George. And that night he came back with like a turtle shell on, a brace around his core that he couldn't move so that it kind of kept him straight. And that night we were watching a TV show and there was a guy that had contracted some disease or something, and he was in a wheelchair. And I just had a feeling come over me like that was going to be me in a wheelchair. And it wasn't like a scary feeling or anything. It was just like a warm sensation, almost like that's going to be.
You had that feeling before it happened?
Yeah. So that was the night before.
No way.
So then the next day was the race, and the race starts. I'm going up this hill and I crash, and my back tire hit a rut. So it kind of like a hole, and it kicked my back end out to the right. And then my front tire hit a hole at the same time, and it stopped my bike, and I ejected over the front of the bike at about 50 miles an hour, and I dove into the ground. So I took all the pressure onto my head, which took the weak point, I guess, was my T6 vertebrae, and I burst fractured it. So it blew out the front of it and then dislocated it from T7. So my spine looked like a bendy straw, like just tweaked a little bit. And
so it was like compressed.
So I hit it, and then the X-ray, it blew the front of it out. So if this is it looking at it, if you're looking at it from the side, I blew it out and then it tipped forward too. So my spine was like that, crooked. And I laid there on the hill, and the only thing I could do is cuss, because that seems to help with pain. And so I just laid there, and my body felt like pins and needles. Like when your hand falls asleep and then it's coming back, just that pins and needles feeling. My whole body felt like that. And I laid there on my left side looking down as bikes are coming by me, and I tried to roll over to my back, and it just felt like a truck had hit me. So I just laid there, and they brought a side-by-side down with a stretcher, put me onto it, and then took me up to the ambulance and put me in. And once I got in the ambulance, my left leg had gone numb and I couldn't move it or feel it. And I tell the nurse that, and she's like, "Oh, you're going to be fine." And so they take me to the hospital, put me on to another backboard, and they are like, "We got to cut his pants off. We got to cut all his gear off." And they take my boots off, and I told them, I said, "Don't cut my pants off. These are good pants, like my motorcycle gear." And the doctor didn't like that answer. So they ended up cutting them off, and they took me into the x-ray room, x-rayed me, said my back was broken. Where do I want to be life flighted to? Basically to Vegas or Salt Lake, to the U of U. So I said, it's like, well, I live in Salt Lake, so obviously Salt Lake. So flew me up there. Well, took me to the airport. I don't remember the air ride because they drugged me up pretty good. Remember getting into the hospital and go into the ER room, and my dad flew up with me, and then a buddy and I think my cousin, my uncle met up there too, and they gave me a blessing before I went into surgery. Someone came in, needed
for anybody
something.
listening, what he means by that is they prayed for him.
Yeah. And so they prayed for me, sent me into surgery, and surgery was like 6 to 8 hours. And the next morning I woke up, and like I was hallucinating because I swear that there was another bed next to me with somebody in it, and then the door was open and there was a brick wall right at the door. and it felt real. Like I remember somebody being there next to me. And then when I really woke up, I was in a room by myself and the doors were at the front.
Do you think you were hallucinating, or do you think maybe that was like, I don't know. Do you think that was like a vision? Do you think like maybe
I don't know. It was,
you had an angel by you or something while you were going through
I
it?
very well could have.
One of your past relatives that was just as crazy as you were.
Yeah. And so I woke up and I couldn't feel from my chest down, and they'd thrown 2 8-inch rods down my spine with 10 screws. And so I'm fused from T3 to T10. And yeah, I couldn't move or feel anything from about bottom of sternum, like a little below your nipples down.
So that's crazy. I mean, can you remember? I don't even know if you can remember this, but can you remember what was going through your mind, especially having watched what you watched the night before and feeling like you were going to be paralyzed? Like, can you remember what you were thinking? Did that come back to you?
Yeah, it was just like it never really hit me until like 2 weeks in, because people like I had visitors from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. Like I had so many people coming in. Luckily, I'd graduated high school in June of that year, so I was done with school. I wasn't going to college, so like I got very lucky that I was out of high school and with that. So I had a lot of visitors, so I didn't necessarily have time to think, but I had a lot of people that would come in and they would say that they'd come and hopefully to be able to lift my spirits and cheer me up. And a lot of people walked out telling my mom, saying I came in to lift his spirits, and in the end he lifted mine. Like, so I never really had that poor me attitude. It was just like, I'll be fine. Like, I'm going to walk again. And the doctors told my mom and us that I would live a good life in a wheelchair and I wouldn't walk again. And I just said, to hell with you guys. Like in one sense, the doctors have to give you worst case because they have to cover their butt, obviously, but they kill a lot of people's hopes by doing that. Luckily, I'm very hard-headed and stubborn. And so it doesn't really matter what they say. Like, I'm going to do what I want to do. And so I started down the journey of learning how to live life in a wheelchair and whatnot. I was in the intensive care for, I think, 3 days. I didn't eat anything for the first week because everything tasted like medicine. Because I was pumped full of so many IVs. I was taking so many medications that it was just like, and hand sanitizer, I could just smell it, like taste it, because every time the nurses come in, they sanitize. And like, you think you sleep in the hospital, but you don't sleep at all, because they're coming in like every hour to check on you. And then a machine goes off every half hour, it seems like. And so they never time it right. So you don't sleep much, but it is what it is. But I had a lot of people come in, so I didn't have time to necessarily get down or feel whatever. And then once they moved me to down to the rehab level, I went to a less intensive and then rehab about 10 days in. And it's the weirdest feeling when you're paralyzed, because I couldn't, like, I just lay there. Like, I had a little bit of top abs, but I couldn't move my legs or anything. Like, they could touch my feet, I couldn't feel it. I remember about a week, I think the couple days after, they gave me a pat down with just a towel bath, and it felt so good just because I was still sweaty, like stunk and whatnot. So it's like, that was really nice. But once I got down to the rehab level, they started moving me and trying to sit me up. And the thing that you don't realize is, when you don't have the legs and the core muscles, when you sit up, all the blood drops. And so I'd about pass out. So they'd sit me up in the bed, and then I'd have to lay back down because I'd about pass out. And I had a big rubber band thing around my stomach to help keep the blood. And then I had those socks that keep your blood from clotting more. So I can't think of the name of them. But I remember the first day that the therapist came in, they were doing a safety pin check to see what I could feel. And they had the round end and the sharp end. And so they're poking round and sharp to see where I can feel. And the guy pokes me and I go, ow. And he jumps back. And I'm like, I'm just kidding. I can't feel that.
That's funny, dude.
So it's just like, I was having fun with it. And the first day of trying to sit up. They put me on the edge of a table, like a therapy table, and have my feet on the ground. And the guy's behind me with his knees in my back. And then he's like, "Hey, I want you to try to pick your arms up and balance." And as soon as I picked my arms up, I just fell over because I had no core strength. And so I just fall. Like, you don't realize how much you use it for everything until you don't have it. And so obviously began the long process of therapy. And the one day that it like hit me was about 2 weeks in. I had to order a custom wheelchair, like a wheelchair that fit me, because they just had a loaner that I was using. And I ordered it, got dimensions and everything. And I remember I went back to my room and called my mom, and I just broke down. And that's when it like hit me that it's like it was real. But it's like ever since then, though, my whole attitude has been like, the perspective is how you look at things. And if you don't like your situation, then try to change your perspective on what it is. And so I knew that I'd be able to walk. I had really bad spasms, which mean my legs would just stiffen out. And so they give you this medicine called baclofen to kill that. And I was on a lot of medicine. I'd sit there and stare at the wall for like a half hour without even thinking anything. And so I was in the hospital for a month. As soon as I got to the hospital, I took myself off of all the medicine. And I figured the baclofen was killing my spasms. The spasms were keeping my muscles strong. So as soon as I was ready to start walking, my muscles weren't going to be so atrophied, which means you lost all your muscle. So I'd rather deal with the spasms and keep muscle than not be able to have any muscle.
So you feel like getting off the meds actually made it easier for you to recover, or easier for you to like start?
So I'm very unique in the sense that I still rely on my spasms to kind of walk. So flexing, I have my big muscles a little bit, but the little muscles not so much. But I've learned to use my spasms to my advantage. And so 2 months out, I started going to therapy because I got a pressure sore on my butt. So I had to be bedridden, basically. Insurance won't let you go until the pressure sore is gone. So I was still cruising around my wheelchair at home and whatnot, but I couldn't go to therapy until that was done. So once I was cleared with that, I started going to therapy, and like they got me in the pool, because the pool is usually where you're able to move easier because you don't have the weight.
Yeah.
But my problem was my legs would suck up and like just bend up to me. And so most people's legs would kind of dangle, but mine would just suck up. So I couldn't walk in the pool. I actually needed gravity to be able to help kind of get the spasms going.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot of the therapy at first was just kind of trying to get balance stuff down, learn how to throw your arms around, get up off the ground when you're in your wheelchair, like fall out of your wheelchair or on the like. So just basic
stuff, like
stuff.
That makes sense.
So like things that you wouldn't think about. And so
when you were, I'm like, so back up a little bit. When you said it finally hit you, right? And you called your mom and you told it, like, what was that conversation? Like, what did you say to her? What did you guys talk about? And then also, how did you go from realizing that was so real to just once again being like, all right, well, it is what it is. I'm going to make the best of it. Because dude, most people couldn't do that. And I think that's important to talk about, because it'll give people perspective on whatever they're going through, obviously. But yeah, like so first, what was that conversation like? What did you guys talk about? What did you say to her? What did she say to you? And then how did you go from this is real and like kind of in that almost getting into that pit of despair to, well, I'm going to make the best of it?
I just remember the conversation. I just cried. I don't remember necessarily what was said. She probably just told me to quit being a pussy. I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, that makes more sense now. So your mom is who's... All right. Well, now we know why. Okay.
No,
we see where it comes from. That's awesome.
So, I mean, obviously it broke her heart and whatnot.
Shout out Mama Godfrey.
But I also realized that I had to be strong for my parents as much as I did myself.
Why?
Like,
What do you mean by that?
and even for my family and friends, like I realized that my parents were gonna, and family and friends were going to react however I reacted. And so if I became a victim, then it was going to be a lot harder on them.
Mm.
And I'd seen people in there that were victims and poor me's, and I hated how they were just zapping the energy. And so I decided right then and there that I wasn't going to be a victim of my situation, and I was just going to make the best of it. And my way of dealing with life and circumstances is humor, and sometimes it's dark humor.
Yeah.
And but I've found that humor is really, people don't realize how much humor can help with your mental state too. Like even now, people will sit here and, like, people are curious by nature.
Yeah.
So children are the best example of this. Just last night, we were walking out of a movie, and there was this kid that was probably 6 years old, and they're walking to the bathroom, him and his dad, and the kid's just staring at me as he walks by and stops and is just staring, and the dad's like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, kids are just so curious. And so I'll always make a joke whenever people are like, because people don't know if they can ask you, because there's so many people are like, I'm just a victim. Like, how dare you ask me? It's like, people are curious. Like, I want people to ask me, because I want to tell. So I had one kid, he was just being a little turd for his mom. He's like, what happened to your legs? And I said, I didn't listen to my mom. And his eyes got wide, and the mom was like, thank you. But it's like, so I've found that humor is a very good way to be able to kind of move your mind from the victim to just being able to laugh at yourself and laugh at your situation. Because if you can't laugh at yourself, then you're missing out a lot on life, and you're missing out on a lot of funny things. Like, people take everything so serious.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I make, like, it breaks the ice when I make a joke about myself, because then people are like, kind of like, oh, I can kind of relax, because people are so uptight today that they don't know what they can say, like what's going to offend somebody. It's like, if you're offended by words, then you're just most likely a miserable person.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah. Dude, I can't agree more. And I think it's also a matter of, the people that are able to, quote unquote, make fun of themselves, or like see the humor in their own faults or whatever it may be. I think that makes them very secure people. Like, I think it demonstrates real self-love.
Yeah.
The ability to actually love yourself. Right. And it's so important, because I think I wouldn't say the majority, but like, so many people in this world don't actually love themselves. Like, they're so dependent on the approval and the acceptance and the love of other people. And it's not even necessarily people that matter. It's just like strangers, right?
Yeah.
Like, and because of that, they're, like you said, they're constantly afraid of what to say, or they're hesitant, or they're constantly trying to impress other people. And it's like, what a crappy way to live. And I've noticed that even just on the, like, for sure with social media, right? I actually made a post about this a few days ago, and I was just talking about, it's actually because of, I don't know if you saw this, but that guy, Andy Elliott, dude, he was on stage with like David Goggins or something at one of his events, and he pulled his two little girls up on stage, and basically was like, he was basically saying like, we're a fitness family, and like, we care about our fitness and blah, blah. And he made his 12 and 9-year-old little girls on stage take their shirts off and show their abs to like a massive crowd of people, mostly men.
Really?
Yeah. And he's like, and you have to go watch the clip. It's freaking ridiculous. But basically he justified it by saying, well, we're a fitness family and we care about our fitness, and we're just trying to, and it's like, dude, number one, they're not old enough for this to be about them, right? Like, you're obviously not doing this to prop them up, because they're not old enough to be propped up. You're doing this for your own brand and for yourself. But the problem is, by doing that, in that moment, you literally made these girls attach self-worth and approval and acceptance to their physical appearance for other people. You know what I mean? And like, it's become this, social media has become this weird place where everybody is so dependent on the acceptance and on the approval of strangers.
Yeah. Oh, it's sad because there's so much good with social media and there's so much bad too. Like,
For sure.
that's one thing. Like, if you see a lot of my posts, a lot of them are just to get people to change their perspective, because however you look at life is how you'll see life.
Yes.
And so if you look for the bad, you're going to see the bad. If you look for the good, you're going to see the good. And like I said earlier, I think that the reason why my outlook is the way it is, because I've been through a little bit of stuff, but we get so focused on that we have to make X amount of money to be happy, or we have to have this to be happy. And it's like, if you have your health and your family's healthy, you're rich. Like, there's nothing more important than being able to just live life. And like, and yet again, I have friends that have broken their necks and their quads. Like, I have one buddy, his name's Brad.
By quad, you mean quadriplegic, right?
Yeah, quadriplegic. So neck down. So this one buddy, his name's Brad Smealy. I think that's how to say his last name. He's a professional wakeboarder, like one of the top in the world. Crashed on a ramp thing, broke his neck, and he can move his head, and he drives his wheelchair through a breathing tube, like puffing and blowing on a tube. Uses a stylus to do his phone, but can't use his hands at all. So it's like, once you see things in that perspective of how fortunate you are to be able to, I mean, even just use your eyes, be able to hear, be able to taste, be able to move your hands. Like, I'm very fortunate for the fact that I still have my hands and my arms. Like, if I wouldn't have got anything back, I'm still a lucky man for the fact that I have the use of these. Like, that's what I'm saying, is that people they take everything for granted until you lose something. You don't appreciate your health until you're sick, and then you do anything to be better.
Yeah.
So it's like, everybody waits to be grateful until they don't have it. And my whole goal is to get people to realize what they have and realize how lucky they are, because the more gratitude you can have for the things that you have, the happier that you'll be, because you realize that you don't need fancy things in order to be happy. Like, if you have friends and family and people that you love and health, like, it's really that simple. We just complicate things as humans, as wanting the next bigger and better thing, because that'll make me happy. But if you can't be happy with what you have, then you're never going to be happy. You can always be chasing that shiny object, and you'll get it, and then you'll have to move on to another shiny object to be happy. So unless you're able to just be happy with you truly and yourself, then it's going to be something that'll be kind of uncatchable, honestly.
Do you think, that's awesome, man. And what's crazy is it's coming from somebody who is paralyzed, and also, and we'll get into this, and also, correct me if I'm wrong, you had a brain tumor.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that in a minute after I say this, because my question would be, do you think that you would have this perspective if you hadn't broken your back? And if the answer is no, why do you think it takes such a traumatic experience? Or even if the answer is yes for you, I think it is. I think the truth is that for most people, it takes a traumatic experience. Like you said, it takes losing something to actually appreciate it. It's just like what we saw, for example, over the last few years with when people's freedom was actually on the line. That's when they actually started caring about it, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? And I guess first answer the question of, do you think you would have the same perspective if you hadn't broken your back?
Yes and no. Before I broke my back, I was actually on antidepressants and anxiety medication. And then after I broke my back, I took myself off of those too, which you think would have been opposite. You think that you'd break your back, become paralyzed, and then all of a sudden now you're depressed and have anxiety and whatnot. But I don't know, something clicked in my head, and it's like, I don't need this stuff anymore. Like, I don't know if it was my perspective shift, my mind shifted, something happened, and I just stopped.
You
taking
became
everything.
less anxious and less depressed when you broke your back.
Yeah. And it's I thought that it could be because I was doing so much therapy, but I just think that, I don't know, something shifted and I decided like I just didn't need it anymore. Like, I don't know.
Hold on. What do you think that is? Because dude, that's the like, think about that statement. This is what I love about you, bro. You say things and it's like, it's a mind-blowing perspective, and yet to you it's just totally like simple. But you just said that you became less depressed and less anxious by breaking your back and getting paralyzed. Most human beings would hear that and be like, huh? Because for most people it would send them into the darkest, deepest place imaginable and change everything for the negative. What in the world do you think changed that made you less depressed and less anxious, not being able to move and knowing that that might be the fate of your life?
I don't know. I think it's just, I might have just had a shift in my perspective, and I didn't want to be the victim. And so maybe that changed my whole mindset of that victim mentality, or that,
Like you were a victim to the pills kind of thing. And it's just like, if
I
I'm
don't
not going to be a
know.
victim, I got to cut all of it out.
Yeah. And it's not even like I was a victim, I guess. It's just like, I just decided I didn't need it. Like, I don't, and it's not like I said, I thought that it maybe because of the physical stuff, but I was very, very active all growing up. Like sports, I did every sport. In high school, I wrestled and played football.
Right.
I lifted. And then after high school, for those months before, I was riding my motorcycle a couple times a week. Like, I was very active, going to the gym and running. And
that's my point, dude. That was all taken away from you. And instead of making it worse, because you're saying you were anxious and depressed while you were able to do all those things. And then when you lost the ability to do all of the things you've done your entire life, because that's how your family is. Like, for those that don't understand, the Godfrey family, correct me if I'm wrong, like you guys are always doing something crazy, always moving. It's always sports. It's always extreme sports. It's always something. And then that was all taken away from you. And you're saying you're saying you became less depressed and less anxious. That to me is mind blowing, man. Like, why do you think, is it just that you were more grateful for life than ever before, that it just kind of like, that's what shifted? Like, I'm trying to understand, and I know other people are thinking, holy cow, why? How is that?
yeah, I think just the shift in the mindset and realizing that life's fragile, and I was lucky to be alive, because the doctor said that with the diving accident like that, I should have broke my neck and died. But from wrestling and football, like, my neck was thick, and so that saved me. And so being in shape saved my life. And now it's like, maybe it just shifted to where I'm going to walk, and that kind of took the attention. But it also shows you how fragile life is. So if you're always worrying about what could happen, then you'll never truly appreciate life for what it is.
And that's anxiety.
Yeah. And that's what anxiety is
Ultimately,
from.
that's what you let go of.
And even then, I'll still have my moments. Like, I'm human. I get depressed about not being able to go do stuff. Like, one of the harder parts with the paralysis is not being able to do what I feel like a man should be able to do, like the lifting and stuff. So like, that gets hard for me, even with like my wife. Like, I never thought that I'd get married, for the fact that it's like, I'm not really what a man should be. I can't do a lot of this stuff. So that kind of hit me, and I don't know. But then I met my wife, and she just loved me for my handicap parking, honestly.
Oh man. So that's the truth. Courtney only married you for the handicap
It's
parking.
true. And then she found
Got
out
it.
that it wasn't even mine, as my grandpa's passed. So
Oh
on
man.
her.
So did she almost leave you when she found that out? She was
Yeah.
like, oh, you know what, man? Like, I'm kind of second thinking. Yeah, but you know what? You say all that too, and then anybody that knows you, bro, you're freaking solid as an ox. And then on top of that, you still lift, you still work out, right?
Yeah, I
Pretty
still
regularly.
go to the gym most days of the
And
week.
you're strong as hell.
Well,
Like-
you gotta be to be able to, like, that's the one thing, like, working out, people don't realize how much more it does for your mental state. And maybe with it, like, I think your body adapts to your to whatever has happened to it.
For sure.
And so I don't know if the shift in the mind was just because, and you realize this is life now. It's not necessarily that you're giving up on things, but it's like, this is life. So how do I do things now? For example, about 3 months after I broke my back, I was going stir crazy at my house. So I went and gotten our excursion, had my buddy help get me into it. And I took my shower rod and we went and got a Frosty. And my mom comes home and she's like, she calls and she's like, where are you? Because my wheelchair is just sitting in the driveway.
You're just like, I'm in Wendy's.
Yeah, so we went and got some Frosties and we were kind of cruising around, just enjoying being gone. And my friend was only 15.
Oh no.
And then.
And how old were you at the time then?
I was 18.
You're 18?
Yeah. And so he coming back, it started getting dark. And so he had a flashlight shining in at the pedals so I could see. But it's just like, you learn to, like, life doesn't end when you have an accident. You just learn to adapt to do what you want to do. Like, so for me, lifting, if I'm not able to pull myself into the tractors or to be able to pick myself up to do things, there's a lot of stuff that I couldn't do. So as much as it is to have muscles, it's just to be able to function. So I've got to, like, when I get into the excavator, I have to reach up to the handle and the door and then pull myself up and then pull my knees up to where I can step onto the tracks, or else I'd have to sit my butt onto it, pull my knees over. So it's just, so being strong, there's never been a time where I wish I didn't have muscle. Like, that's one thing that people don't understand, is that muscles saved my life. And all that happens is you're better protected when you have muscle on. You feel better because you're working out. Like, the mental side of working out is probably better than the physical side.
I would say the mental side is definitely
like,
the
if
best.
I don't work out for a couple days and I sit, like, my legs, my legs start to go to garbage. They just start getting tight and just starting to hurt.
But your mind,
my mind starts going to the demons. And I think a lot of what I've gone through, I've danced with my demons, and like, you have to go into those dark spots, because you don't appreciate when the good times are good. But if you aren't able to kind of conquer your own mind, then you're going to be very fragile, in the sense that anything will be able to kind of get in there and start offending you or whatever. And that's where, like, the mental toughness that comes from it is so big. And I think that I was almost bred for the accident, because I grew up playing baseball, football, basketball, soccer, race BMX, race motorcycles. Like, I did everything, and I learned mental toughness through that. And then wrestling, I loved wrestling because it was you versus the other opponent. There's no politics. There's nothing. It's whoever's the better person will win. Yeah. And my senior year at state, I was wrestling this kid, and he was ranked, like, I think he was second in the state. And I was getting whooped by him. He had almost tech falled me, which was he was beating me by 15 points. And at that point, they end the match. And he was like up by 11 points. And it was going into the third period. And I chose down, and I knew he was gassing, and I reversed him from the bottom and put him into a cradle, and I about popped his head off and pinned him. And it was just the fact that I was in better shape than him, and I had the willpower that I was going to do it. And so it's like, it's kind of a testament to this. It's like, you'll be down and out, and if you give up, then you lose. But if you push forward, you could get to that point of getting on top.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you nailed it. It's all about, and it honestly, knowing did you win state then?
No, I took third. I lost.
I mean, still, dude, third in state. So all of these experiences obviously are what have made you, who you were. And I would say I can understand, I can completely understand that and see that now, is that's what ultimately prepared you to be able to have the accident you did and still be so positive and so, motivated to not be a victim. Like, it makes complete sense. And even to this day, like you said, I would agree, man. The mental aspect of lifting is for sure more important and so much like more prevalent than the physical aspect. Like, it's like you said, when you don't lift for a couple days, when I don't lift for a couple days, I feel it. I start to
Yeah.
feel it. I start to feel like something's off, something's not there. Like, and it really is. It's not only the time to build strength and build confidence and build, you know, I would say motivation. You know, say motivation is a lie, but I think I get a lot of motivation from the gym. But also you just become, you become more mentally tough. You freaking blast some heavy metal, get angry music going and lift heavy shit. And like, dude, that's what ultimately, makes you able to push through the hard trials and the hard times. And I think, you know, the other thing I'll say is, it's necessary. I genuinely believe that weightlifting is necessary for men. Like some sort of weightlifting. It's just every man I've ever met that is either successful or just like they have, you know, they just have things together. They're not perfect or whatever, but like just those men that you look up to, every single one of them lifts. Every single one of them. And like I always say, my goal when I lift is not to be the most shredded or to get up on stage or compete or anything like that. I literally just want to be, I want to be able to perform and function and look as good as I can for as long as I can.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what lifting is for me, is just like, it's the mental thing, but then it's also just to make sure that I'm capable.
When do you enjoy it? Like
and I definitely enjoy it. Yeah.
Like like even
I didn't at first.
Yeah. Well,
At
everything. There's still some days where I like, this is
For
garbage.
sure.
I want to sleep in because I go in the morning. I go wake up at 5, be at the gym by 5:30, 5:45, and I do the Stairmaster because that's the hardest machine for me, and I figure I don't have to go as long on it if I do that.
How long do you go on the Stairmaster?
Right now, I'm only doing like 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll try to do the elliptical for 15 to 20. But like it's just about like it brings you joy after. Like you never leave the gym and regret going.
Agreed.
Unless you're hurt your shoulder.
Yeah.
Like
that's true.
That's the worst part. But like you never walk out.
But you don't regret
like,
going to the gym. You just regret going too hard or doing something stupid.
Yeah.
I don't ever regret going to the gym. Even when I leave hurt, I don't regret going to the gym. I just regret, I probably shouldn't have added that extra weight. Like that wasn't worth it.
Yeah. And I think it's just, the biggest thing is just movement. Like we don't move enough in society anymore. And so that's why I think you're getting so many depressed people is you look at the people that are more depressed and they probably move less and less. So it kind of counters that. And so like, and from me being on the antidepressants and whatnot, like I don't know what changed. And I honestly don't know why I shifted, but something shifted and I just didn't need them anymore. And I don't know if it's just my perspective changed or what, but it's just like, I think that we're a lot more capable of healing ourselves and our thoughts with our mind. And we rely on others to fix it when really you've got to dance with your demons and realize that they're just voices and you are ultimately in control of your thoughts, how you react to things. Like we can't control everything, but we can control how we react to things and our perceptions on life.
I love that, man. It's, you know, what's funny is, oh my gosh, and I'm going to forget the name. I can't believe I'm blanking this right now. I need to look it up really quick. Hang on a second. I'm going to look this up.
There's a book called Man's Search for Meaning. Have you heard that?
Is that the one? Okay.
With Viktor Frankl.
That's exactly what I was just talking about. So he's right there. That's Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
That's the name. I know Viktor Frankl. Like I love this guy and I love everything he writes. And I can't believe I just blanked his name. But yeah, that's Viktor Frankl because you probably know the quote. And now I'm trying to remember.
They can take away all your freedoms. I don't know.
No. It's hang on a second.
Something
it's between,
to that.
I'm gonna look it up right now. All right, hang on. Bear with me here. Let's look this up real quick. I don't have what's that guy's name on Joe Rogan? Jamie or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Someone to do it for you.
Yeah, I don't have someone to do that. So I got to do it myself here. But quote about freedom.
But it just all begins in your mind.
Yeah. Well, this is one he says. This isn't the one I was looking for, but this is a good one too. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude, any given set of circumstances, to choose one's way.
Yeah.
But that's not the one I was looking for. It was, oh, here it is. I got it. This is probably my favorite quote of all time. Between stimulus and response, there's a space, and in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So the thing that's crazy about Viktor Frankl is he was a psychologist who went through, I think, 3 different concentration camps. And the whole time he was basically trying to help the people in those camps to cope with everything that they were dealing with. And so knowing that those quotes come from someone like that is pretty powerful, right? And it's like, I love that quote because it's the truth, man. Hey, so guys, our video actually cut out during the section where Tanner talks about his brain tumor and the experience in the hospital. And because we don't want to take away from the real, like, emotional and raw authenticity of him explaining that experience, for the next few minutes, you're going to see pictures and you're just going to hear the audio from it. Apologize for the technical difficulty, but again, we didn't want to try and recreate that or like fake that in any way because it's so raw and it's so real. So please just bear with us over the next few minutes as you listen to his story, and video will resume after that. And that actually leads perfectly into the next thing I want you to talk about, which is your battle with brain tumor, because like, again, man, it's just crazy how much you've been through in your life. And I hope you guys are paying attention, like, as you listen to this and just hearing you talk the way you do and just like explain life the way you do, even the point where you're talking about how most people don't move, coming from somebody who shouldn't be moving, right? Like, it's just this is what I meant in the beginning when I said you inspired me, because it's such a different perspective of life that most of us, including myself, do not have. And it's awesome to hear it. So, but yeah, I want you to talk about the tumor, how it came up, and like, because ultimately you believe that your personal mental strength is what pushed through that, not the medication, not the surgery or whatever else. Like, you believe it was 100% you and willpower, right?
Yeah. So in August of 21, I started getting a headache, and then it just got progressively worse, where I was taking ibuprofen once a day to 2 times to 3 times to every 6 hours. And if I missed it on that 6-hour mark, like in the middle of the night, if I didn't take it, then I would sit there for about an hour and a half and my head would just be throbbing. And it started as a pain behind my eye, almost like when you're dehydrated or something. And then it just got getting progressively worse. And so I went into an eye doctor to see about my eye pressure. Everything looked good. And then I went into just some MRI place, and they scanned my head and said they found a growth behind my eye, and they sent that to the U. Went up, met with them, and I got another scan 2 weeks later, and the thing had doubled in size and grown into my brain cavity. And so they wanted me to come in and do a biopsy of it. So they're going to go in through my eyelid, go behind my eye, cut some of it, and then see what it is. And in my mind, it's like, why would you cut something that's got potential to, you cut it, it opens up, and then it spreads faster. That's how my mind was thinking. But when they called me, I was down in Mexico at the Baja 1000 watching my brothers and dad and uncle race. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to make it tomorrow, so I'll see you next week. And then and then they called me.
Tanner, you have a, just imagine this call. Yeah, hi, Tanner Godfrey. Yeah. We found a tumor, and we'd like to look at it and figure out what's going on. Sorry, man, I'm at a race. I'll be there next week.
Well, yeah, I'm in the middle of the peninsula, and they're like, we need you to come in
at the
tomorrow.
moment. Sorry.
Yeah, so I said no. I'll be there next week. I can't make it. And so then they called me later and said, actually, it's a good thing we didn't do it because it's into your brain cavity, and we don't want to risk going in there. And so they scheduled surgery for December 23rd, which was 6 weeks away from that date. And so because they had to schedule a neurosurgeon and then an eye surgeon too, since it involved the eye and the brain. And so in those 6 weeks, like when you hear something's doubling in size and growing very fast, that's usually a bad sign. And so
I'll say.
I had a range of emotions go through me, obviously, not knowing what could happen. But when it's growing that fast, you tend to go towards the bad thing of this could kill me. Like I could be dead in a month and a half. And so that really changes your perspective on what's important to you. And so I started taking the time to go to lunch with my wife if I was around, and like I was working by our house, and so I'd go have lunch with her, and you start realizing what's important as far as what brings you joy, what makes you happy, who you love. Like that's really what matters in life. So when you're kind of faced with that could die situation, your perspective really changes and your focus becomes on that joy and happiness and love. And so within that time, I just thinking, like, kind of really plays a mind game on you of could be dead. And if I'm going to die, what do I want to do in these last things? And that's where your time becomes your most valuable thing we have. Like, I think everybody thinks they have so much time on their hands until that clock's done. And whatever is going to happen in life is going to happen. Like, it doesn't matter how you live. When it's your time, it's your time. Like breaking my back, obviously motorcycles are on the extreme end of the spectrum, and breaking the back is a very common thing in that sport. But you can't live in fear for what could happen, because if you play the what if game, then you're never going to live. And like, I'd rather live a life that brings me joy. And if it ends shorter, it ends shorter, unfortunately. Like I'm only in control of so much, and I'm not going to live in fear of this could happen. So like I've tried to live life in that aspect. And so with this, it shows you that time truly is just the most valuable thing we have. And it goes back to the health. Like, you don't appreciate it until you don't have it. And so I remember breaking down to Courtney one night, just because, like I said, it was weighing kind of heavy on my mind. And I was just like, I'm not ready to die. Like, I'm going to fight this. And
what did she say to you?
She just cried, said, we can do this. And so I decided right then and there that if my body created it, it can destroy it too, because our bodies are so capable. And like, luckily I had some experiences beforehand with my back and being paralyzed. It's like, I know the body's capable of healing. And so I started kind of thinking about what's the best way to kill this tumor. And so started off with just putting high horsepower food. Your body's no different than a motor. You put bad gas in it, it's going to run like crap. You put high quality stuff in, it's going to run good. So I started just eating meat and blueberries and blackberries, like anything that was like the high antioxidants are what kills the cancer cells. Like, and so I just kind of, that yet again, I'm going just to like a Neanderthal mind is how my mind went. It's what's going to give me the best chance for my body to fight this off. And so I started eating meat, berries, and then I cut out processed foods completely. And then I started meditating. And so I'd put on meditation music on, and I just sit there and lay there and close my eyes and visualize the tumor shrinking and like squeezing it with my hands and crushing it. And did that for the weeks leading up to the surgery. And the day before surgery, I went.
How many weeks was that?
It was 6 weeks total before. So I did it for like, I don't know, 5 weeks.
Like a little over a month.
Yeah, it's over a month. And so I did it, and I go and get an CAT scan the day before the surgery, so the 22nd, and they lay me in the machine, and get me situated, and they put these stickers on my head and mark them with Sharpie so that they can make sure that they have it right and they go in the right spot and everything. And so they do that. I go home that night and really don't know what's to come the next day, but I mean, I've tried all I could, and that's one thing that I've learned is that miracles don't happen unless you exhaust your resources. Everybody will pray and expect miracles to happen, but unless you put in the effort, nothing's going to change. Like, miracles don't happen unless you've done everything you can to do that.
To do your part.
Yeah. If you don't do your part, then a miracle, it's a lot harder for it to happen, at least in my way. And I had a lot of prayers thrown up for me too. Like, I don't care what you believe in. There's a higher power that has the power to change things too.
Yeah.
Whether you believe in God or whatever it is. And so we go into the hospital the next morning, and we check in, and as we're checking in, I'm sitting there, and I got an email with the results from the CAT scan, and it said that the tumor had shrunk in size.
Jeez.
And
what did you think in that moment when you heard that? Was it like typical Tanner thought, like, well, yeah, that makes sense. I've been freaking busting my ass with these berries and meat. Or was it like extreme gratitude? Like, what did you feel?
I just leaned over to Courtney and said, we did it. Like, we shrunk it. Like, it was, I don't know. It was very surreal with it happening like that. And I was, I don't know. I was just thankful. And so obviously it changed the mindset going in. It's like, well, he shrunk it, so now we'll go in and cut it out. And as we're sitting there in the ER, or we go up to the surgery prep and getting ready, getting to the gown and whatnot, and sitting there with Courtney, just kind of just snuggling with her on the bed, waiting to go in, and I put a little compilation together of kind of like the tumors, and then me in front of the hospital with my canes up, walking in, and the song that just like fit me so perfect in that moment was "Won't Back Down" by Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I've done all I can. And so it's kind of in the man's hands. Like, I can't do any more now. And so we're waiting to go back, and the head anesthesiologist for the U was there, or for that department, and he was actually the one that was going to be putting me under. And the nurse is like, he's never here. Like, this is a super rare occasion that he's here. And after they'd wheeled me back and put me under, he came out and told Courtney, he's like, I've never gone in and met somebody that's just got such a great attitude with things. And I don't know, I just had the attitude that, like, I just am a happy person. Like, life's too short to not be happy. And I wasn't going to let this be the last thing. And so, like, it was really hard on Courtney, because when that's happening, you don't know if this will be your last moment. So obviously I just told her I loved her, and what's going to happen is going to happen. And then luckily I woke up after the surgery, and it went a lot faster than they thought. They were able to go in. They sliced me from above my ear to the middle of my head, took the skin, peeled it back to about right here on my eyebrow and my cheekbone, cut my temple out, and then went in, cut all the bad bone out, the goop, and put titanium mesh behind my eye for my eye socket, and then threw the bone back on and stitched me back up. And they got everything out. They ended up doing a biopsy on it. It wasn't cancerous, so they don't know what it was. And I'd killed whatever it was. So,
dude, Yeah, man. It's crazy. And like I said, I think you always hear about how, you know, scientists and psychologists and stuff will like study people's brain. Dude, someone needs to study your brain and understand why it is that you think the way you do, because again, man, it's not only inspiring, but it's also just incredible. Like and I know you hate this because you're a humble person, but it's the truth, man. Like the way you look at life is unlike anybody I've ever met. And yet you've been through the hardest things, but also, you know, based on everything we know about how trials and struggles make you better and make you stronger, it also makes sense in that aspect. And what's the coolest thing too is how much of a life you've been able to, how fulfilling of a life you've been able to build despite all of these things. I mean, you're married. How many kids do you have? Two kids.
Two
How
little
old are they?
girls. 2.5, and the baby just turned 1.
Two little girls, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Girl dad.
It's awesome, man. And Courtney obviously is a queen among women. Like,
Yeah.
Dude, the videos of you guys are so funny. There was one video that you guys made that everybody got so triggered, but I know you guys, so I knew that it was just like, I could see the conversations that were happening behind the scenes. And it was so funny because the internet got so triggered, but all of us that know you guys were like, this is amazing.
She was like,
isn't it with like a diaper or something?
She'd be like 6 weeks, or she's like 7 months pregnant. And we're actually up here in Idaho at her parents' house, and she was throwing up into the trash can.
Oh yeah, dude, that's right.
And my little girl went over to it with the remote and was putting the remote like into the trash can. She grabs the remote and throws it
because she's trying to get her to change the channel or something.
No,
right?
She was just taking the remote, just being a kid. Okay. And then we're just sitting there laughing, and my mother-in-law goes over and picks her up, and she turns around. She's just laughing too.
Right. But in the video, it was you sitting on the couch.
Yeah, I was sitting on the couch.
And so everybody that was commenting, the trolls of the world, had no idea that Tanner was paralyzed. And
it got like 8 million views.
And it was nothing but like hate comments about, oh, you're such a crappy husband because you didn't get up to help her. And it was so funny and so ironic to know to know that you're just, it's because you're it's like
they're getting so pissed off that we're sitting down laughing. Funny, and the funny thing is,
it goes to your thing about how people just can't laugh about themselves anymore.
And the best part is that Colton, my friend Colton Brockbank, he was the one that was commenting on it and just egging these people on, saying like, people like, he couldn't get up and go help, and he's like, obviously you've never broken your arm before. He's got a broken arm, and just saying the stupidest stuff.
The reason why it's so funny is because Colton and I were actually, I don't think I even told you this, but Colton and I were going back and forth in the DMs as he was doing it because I was watching him troll them the whole time. And I was like, Colton, you're killing me, dude. It's so funny.
So that's the type of friends that I have.
Yeah, dude, Colton's the best of the best, man. I freaking love Colton to death. He's one of the best humans I know.
And
shout out Colton, Colty Bear.
Yeah,
I'll have him on. He'll come on eventually.
He's a good pooch. And that's like, a lot of my, like, I've been very fortunate too to have such good friends. And like, we talk smack to each other. Like, our group chats are just roasts. And usually Colton's the one getting roasted because he's short and kind of getting chubby too. But like, we just roast each other. But I think it's just because, like, I think that's why we're such good friends, is because we're able to just find the humor in everything.
Oh, for sure, man.
And I know it's like, we've been best friends, our group, since sophomore year. And then like, so it's kind of rare, I guess, to have friends that are friends that long and that still keep in touch and whatnot. But I've been very fortunate with that. And like, to go back with the, like, everything that's happened, like, if I wouldn't have broke my back, I would never have met Courtney, and I never would have had the girls. So it's like, sometimes what you think's going to be the worst thing to happen to you ends up being the best thing.
Yeah. Amen.
So like without my back, breaking my back, I don't know where I would be. I'd be riding motorcycles and whatnot, but I wouldn't have met so many people. I've set 3 world records in the side-by-side sense in a, off-road buggy. If you don't know what side-by-side is, 3 distance jumps. I've flipped into the foam pit. I've skydived. I've done so much only because I broke my back. So it's like, life happens, and then it's up to you on how you react to it and live life. And obviously I wasn't going to be a victim and play the poor me card. I was going to live life on my terms and how I want to do. And if I wasn't able to do something that I did before, then I'd figure out how to do it after. So I was on a motorcycle like a month out of the hospital. My dad and my buddy Todd put me on a motorcycle, and I rode down the street, and my leg, actually the vibration caused my leg to spaz out and go straight. And so it was almost dragging. No. So I'm sitting there leaning to my right, trying to keep my leg.
Throttle it?
No, I was fine. It just,
Right.
I was trying not to let my leg drag because it was just stiff. And so it's like I still did a lot of things. I had a motorcycle. I still have a motorcycle that's set up to ride with a thumb shifter, but I don't ride it very much because it just pisses me off because I can't go fast. It's like the side-by-sides really were, I got into those only because I broke my back. And the first time I drove one, my grandpa and me made a driving stick that's basically like my cane with a platform on the bottom of it. That's second gen, actually. First gen was an old pop-up tent we found behind the hotel in Caneville. Broke the leg off it, bent the handle, and then put a duct taped a bottle on the end of it, like
just one of those little.
So it's a thicker one, like the big pop-up tents.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a piece of metal, and I still have it. And
you put a bottle on the end.
Yeah, put a bottle on the end and duct taped it so there's a bigger surface.
That's
area.
what you drove with.
Yeah, that was the driving stick for like 3 or 4 years.
Oh my gosh, dude.
And then I figured I had to upgrade, so I made a better one that was aluminum, and then I just welded a plate with 2 little wings on the side that would catch the brake and gas. And so I still drive with that. And I tell people I got 3 options when I'm driving. I'm either hitting the gas, the brake, or the floor. So if you hear pounding, that means I'm missing the good option. So hold on.
That's awesome. So dude, let's go into that. Let's let's lighten things up. I mean, let's talk about going into a little bit more into nitro, and let's go into the side-by-sides, and just the crazy aspects of your life. You've done some pretty freaking wild things. Correct me if I'm wrong, weren't you guys also part of like one of the Jackass movies or something like that?
Nitro Circus did do like Evil Knievel tribute, I think, with Nitro and Jackass. Johnny Knoxville actually crashed. He tried to do a backflip on a motorcycle or something. It came down and it basically ruptured his urethra, so he had to cath for a while. Like, oh my gosh, he couldn't pee. Like, yeah.
I wonder how many bones that guy's broken.
Yeah, there's been a lot of bones broken with the nitro stuff.
Dude, it's crazy, and then they just keep going. Like, what is it that just makes them keep going? Is it just sheer willpower to just keep doing the unimaginable and what most people won't do? Like, is it?
I think you just get a taste for it, and that's what brings your
what is
life worth living.
You get a taste for what?
I don't know. Whatever makes you happy, whatever makes you think life's worth living. Like, everybody's got something that brings them the most joy, and whether it's whatever you look at, that's kind of probably what nitro stuff is. And that extreme sports is obviously you get the adrenaline too, but it's kind of being afraid and conquering those fears and realizing that you can do more. And then you just keep pushing the envelope until you get hurt. And then you realize that's not the way to do it, and then find another way to do it. And so you never really stop. You just kind of adapt and overcome and kind of morph into another mindset.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think myself and many people can't understand that, but I think it's probably just one of those things where you can't understand it until you're doing it.
Yeah, and like you find out a lot about yourself. Like, I've done 3 record distance jumps in the side-by-sides. The first one was 105 feet, and that was down in Mesquite at an event. And it was the same place I broke my back. Well, same town.
Were you scared at all going into that?
No, I actually went up top. I did a test run coming down because like it wasn't very big. Like, it was and it wasn't. Like, for back then, the fastest the machine could go was 50 miles an hour. And I actually came down, did like a test run, pulled up and stopped, and I actually grabbed my buddy Will's that's in Nitro Circus. Was born with spina bifida.
Oh, Wheels is the one that's always in the
He
wheelchair.
does all the wheelchair stuff. He's crazy. He's nutty. And so he didn't know. I came down and grabbed him and said, hop in. And so he actually hopped in the passenger seat.
No way.
And we went back up top. And where I had to turn around was like on this little plateau.
Was he in the car when you got, or
when I did the record, he was
when you
with
got
me.
the record? Oh, no way. I didn't know that.
And
That's cool.
so we actually turning around up top, I missed the brake a little bit, and we were turning around on this little plateau thing. And so we almost went off the edge. So that got a little sketchy. But so I did that one first, and I hit the jump like 50 miles an hour, did 105 feet. And then the second one was in 2015 up at Butte, Montana, Evil Knievel days down Main Street. They'd built these this jump doubles.
I saw this one. I remember
and so
this one.
We were going to park Evil Knievel's bus in the middle, but it wouldn't fit with the dirt. So it was parked on the side. And I hit that jump at 71 miles an hour. And I jumped 202 feet, 202, 203, 200, right around there. And then the last one, and like with that one, my uncle Greg had called me. He's like, hey, Evil Knievel's daughter hit me up wanting us to do jumps up there. Would you want to jump the Razor? And I was like, oh, let me think about it. And like the next day I get a text from Evil Knievel's daughter, and she's like, hey, we're so excited to have you come up and jump. And so I was like, well, I guess I
thought about it.
Yeah. And then the last one was in 2019 with the Diesel Brothers. They did a Memorial Day special.
Yep.
And we were out in Wendover at the airport in Wendover and did
that one did go over the bus, didn't it? Wasn't there bus or there?
No, so there wasn't a bus there or anything.
Or what was parked in there was something parked in the middle there, wasn't it?
We parked semis in the middle after to show you the size comparison.
That's right. Okay.
And the gap was 150 feet. It was supposed to be 140, but my cousin Chandler that built it doesn't know how to measure. And so that pushed the knuckle back further, which means you just had to hit it faster, which ended up being a better thing that he doesn't know how to measure. And it was the 7th wettest spring they had out there. Every time we were trying to do a test jump, it would either get windy as all get out or it would rain. And so luckily the monster truck guys had big tarps that we were able to throw on the takeoff and landing to at least keep it dry enough to have a chance. And Sunday, I was supposed to jump Monday. Sunday, I finally got the chance to do a test jump. And my brother Preston was going to hit it before me so I could judge speed. But we were kind of nervous about him sinking into the lips because it was a little wet. And the TV guys said that his contract was done. He couldn't do it. So I hit it at 80 miles an hour and went 200 and something feet. And I landed and broke the front shock, like the bottom of it. So I was like, well, we know we at least have to go 80 to clear it. And before I did that, though, I got the suspension done. I had to pull the transmission out on Thursday because it was slipping gears, and I didn't really want that to happen as I was hitting the jump. So we pulled the transmission out, and then I decided that was a good time to try to do the suspension. So I called a buddy up. I was like, do you know anybody that does suspension? He's like, yeah, I got this guy that I met at an expo. He seemed like he knew what he was talking about. So I cold called the guy. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be doing this jump. Would you want to do the suspension? He's like, oh yeah, sure. He didn't know what he was getting into. And I took it down to him. He did it, brought it back. It was raining. I jumped off the loading ramp with the Razor. I was like, well, I guess this works like a truck loading ramp. So only dropped like a couple feet.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we're good. But we got a couple more test jumps at our shop because the rain was so intermittent the whole time. And needless to say, I went out and did the jump. I did a test run on Monday I had a 10-minute window, and the wind was just howling. It was like 30-mile-an-hour crosswinds. And so we're waiting. I do a test run just to kind of give the audience something. I pull up to the lip, get up to speed. And as I'm coming to the lip, I go to hit the brake, and I'm hitting the top of the shaft. So I'm barely braking, and I'm like, oh, and I'm trying to push down hard. And I barely stop before my tires go over the backside of the takeoff.
Gosh,
so I put it in reverse, back down, and go back. And I'm sitting there at the start, and my uncle has the safety guy and the producer on the lines, and we're like, jumps canceled. Like, we're just going to go back to the stage once, wait until the end. And then all of a sudden the wind just dies and the flag on the takeoff dies and just still. And all of a sudden my uncle's like, go hit it, go, go, go. I was like, go to the stage or hit the jump. He's like, hit it, it's yours. So I shut my visor and just hammer down and get going. And I get halfway to the jump and all of a sudden the flag's standing sideways again. And I was just like I hesitated for a second and I said I was going to do it. I hope this roll cage holds up because I figured that I had a really good chance of rolling. And so I just let her eat, got to about 86 miles an hour and hit the jump, and my back end floated around like as far sideways as you want it to come. And I landed perfectly as far as level, but my back end kicked out to the left and I bounced and then settled down perfectly. And I dropped my driving stick in the air because I figured I was going to need 2 hands on the steering wheel to counter it.
Yeah.
And so luckily it didn't take much and I rode away from it. And I ended up jumping 247 feet at that one.
Dude, that is insane.
And the funny thing is, like, as soon as I did
crazy.
it, I was like, and it still is in my mind, I'm like, I'm not that far from 300.
Yeah, so is 300 coming?
We'll see.
So as you say that, I have a question for you because when did you get married?
19. So after that.
Oh, this was all after that. Okay.
Yeah. So I got married. I was dating Courtney and then I got married in.
Oh yeah. That makes sense.
19. So September after that. So that was in May and then I got married in September.
Okay. That makes sense because my question was going to be like, I remember vividly actually the last time that I ever tried to do anything inverted on a snowboard.
Yeah.
It was up in Targhee. It was a super powy, like it was an awesome pow day, just super nice bluebird pow day. And we were hitting a wind lip up near like Mary's nipple.
Yeah.
And I over rotated and came down like right on my neck. And luckily there's enough powder. But I remember thinking to myself, like, this was after I got married. This was as I was having a kid. And I was like, I can't do that anymore. Like yeah. I can't put myself in a position where I can leave them kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
And that was literally the last day I've ever tried to go inverted again on a snowboard. And the reason why the reason why I bring that up is because it just makes me wonder, like, are you in that same mindset of like, now that you're married, now that you have kids, like, are you more cautious? Is that something? Yeah. I mean, how do you navigate that? And what does Court think?
So even with that jump, she's like, if you have a bad feeling, promise me that you won't jump. I said, okay. Well, I had a terrible feeling, but I wasn't not going to do it since like,
cause you were dating at the time.
Yeah, we were dating. And so I said, okay, but like I'm yet again, it comes down to that kind of, I'm not going to take a stupid risk, but I knew that I had a shot and I knew that I had the ability to make it happen. And so after I did the jump, she's like, were you nervous? I was like, I was scared to death. Like, I was way nervous. She's like, you told me you weren't going to jump. I said, yeah, but I had to do it because I said I was going to do it.
So, yeah. Well, so my question is, if that was, so fast forward, right? If you were doing that same jump and the circumstances were changed and you were married and you had your 2 girls, would you have stopped? Would that hesitation have stopped?
Probably not. Here's the thing. I think that I've got enough faith in my abilities that if I feel that it's not doable at all, then I'm not going to do it. But if I know that it's possible, then I'm going to do it. And that's even why I said that I could jump further. It's like, I think it's right on that verge of that 250 mark's going to be hard to go past without really modifying a machine because your machine starts twisting so much. So without getting like real technical into things, I think that's kind of the furthest that you'll be able to fly. And I could be proven wrong completely, but it's just like, I think it's right at that edge of you're going to have to spend a lot of time to get it to fly straight.
And that's where it makes you more consider not doing it. Like that's where it starts to be like, that's not.
And
like,
if I get the itch to do it, then I might try it, but I'm not going to, like, I will work up to it, and I've got the ability to run the tractors and build stuff that I could build something in the sense, but I'm not going to take an uncalculated risk. Like, I'm a very calculated person, despite what it seems like. And most people that do like, you get the people that are just balls to the wall gnarly that don't really think and just kind of skate by somehow.
Just send it. Yeah.
But you also get the people that do a lot of it, and as wild as it seems and nutty as it seems, it's very calculated.
Right.
It's not just a wild hair, I'm going to do this. It's like they've got the confidence in their ability to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so something like that, if I get a wild hair, then I might think about it. And obviously the stakes are a lot higher with kids. So I don't know. I haven't told my wife I'm not going to do it. I just say, or that I'm going to do it even. It's just said, oh, we'll see.
And how, like, what is Court? I mean, obviously she's very supportive, but what is she ultimately?
She doesn't want me to do it.
She doesn't.
No, she likes riding in this stuff though. Like, she likes having fun, but obviously the jumping's another level of risk.
Yeah.
But like, she loves going fast in the Razor, and I got very lucky with her just because she's such a trooper. I don't want to say too much because she'll get a big head about it, but I couldn't have gotten a better woman in my life, because she's just loves me for me, and is just willing to do everything that I can't do, and she never complains. And other than she says it's bullshit because she has to sit at home with 2 kids that don't respect her or appreciate her. She said, I just get bullied all day, which I think all moms can understand that.
Yeah, my wife can definitely relate. I couldn't agree more though. My wife's the same way. She's a trooper, man. She's an awesome mom.
We just get lucky.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say is, let's dive into the relationship a little bit. Like, what would you say is the number one thing that makes you and Court's relationship so strong, despite all the adversity and everything?
I think just being able to communicate. I think people don't put enough emphasis on communication, and I think society is driven society has made relationships in a way that it's not really real. Everything's so fake. And so people look to relationships in a way of, I mean, you've got to be attracted to your spouse, but you've got to be able to be emotionally attracted as well, because like the whole, like, physical and sex only lasts for so long.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have an emotional connection. And we are very similar because we both have dark humor. We both laugh and make jokes and poke fun a lot. And we're very similar in a lot of ways, and we're very opposite, but it just works. And I think a lot of it's just due to communication, and just owning what you do. Like, you have to be accountable for what you do, your actions, and you also have to acknowledge what they do and bring to the table. Like, I know that for moms, it's very hard because you feel like you're just stuck home, not bringing anything to the table as far as taking care of the kids. Like, we're fortunate that Courtney doesn't have to work, so she stays home with the kids, and she feels like she doesn't do much. But it's like, I tell her, like, your job's way more important than mine. Like, you're raising the kids. Like, that's the most meaningful thing you can do. Like, moms don't get enough credit, and the world's trying to tear down motherhood and even families to say that just be promiscuous, just go around screwing everybody. Like, you don't need to have families.
Yeah, dude.
And families, there's nothing better than having the kids, like, even calling and hearing your little little kids just say, "Daddy, daddy." Like, it's just, there's nothing better in this world.
Yeah, my little girl actually just started, like, she's always said daddy, but recently it's always, okay, daddy, okay, daddy. And just hearing daddy, like, there's something about that, right? And I'll tell you what, man, like, she's amazing. My little girl, she's so freaking adorable. And there's always something new. And like, she's just so perfect. Yeah. And I know you can relate to this. Like, it's hard to even explain. Like, it's just a total different love that you experience as a father, especially for a daughter. Like, I love my son equally, but it's a different kind of love, I think, for my daughter.
Yeah.
It's more, I think it's way more of a sense for sure of protecting her. Like, not that I don't want to protect my son, but it's like, I feel like there's a much bigger need to protect my daughter.
Yeah.
Just because of what you said. Like, there's so much evil, and there's so many forces that are attacking the, womanhood and motherhood and the purity of that. And I read a crazy statistic the other day that said 1 in every 50 women in the United States, roughly 1.4 million women, have an OnlyFans.
No, I wouldn't doubt it.
And I heard somewhere else, someone even said that it could be 1 in 10.
Yeah,
which, dude, like, that to me is the clearest sign that women have gotten to the point where they've been tricked into believing that they can't add value to society, and that and that in order to build the life that they want or survive, and maybe it's not even the life they want, but it's the life they've been told they should have. Yeah. And in order to survive, they have to do it with their bodies. And it's so jacked up, but like, that's the reality, man. That's because you can say what you want, but that's the reason a woman creates an OnlyFans, because she believes that her body is the only tool that she has to be able to add value to the world and create the life that she wants.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's the hard part with it. From a moral standpoint, goodbye. Like, it just, but I can see it from both sides. Like, it's life-changing money for them too. So it's like, I kind of understand that, but it's like, at what point is your soul worth? Because if you plan on having kids, you have kids, like, you want to talk about how that will affect their mental state. Like, it's going to destroy them, especially in this day and age with social media and everything. It's just like, so it's like, I can see both sides, but I'm just like, it's sad to see that happen to people. And I don't know. I think everyone's been lied to with the whole feminist movement, and you don't need men and all this stuff. Like, oh, for sure, women are so much stronger than men. It's just a different way.
And the strongest women will say that. The strongest women, the ones that are actually great mothers, and the ones that understand. I'm not going to say their role, because it's not necessarily. I mean, it kind of, but like, the ones that really have a passion to be a woman, to be a mother, and to be everything that a strong woman is, they will also say the same thing. They will say, we need men, and this feminist thing is just nonsense. It's a lie that's been told among all these other lies to create this idea that the family is not needed. And I mean, ultimately, that's the agenda, right? It's to kill the family, because the family is the strongest thing we have. It's like you said too. If you don't have your family, what do you have? And I think I think nowadays so many people lack relationships. Yeah. I'm not even just talking about like boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse relationships. I'm talking about any relationships.
As like human
interaction.
Face to face. Yeah. Everything's media.
Yes. Everything's
internet.
Yeah. And it's gone from, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why there's so much hatred and so much vitriol and so much negativity, because people are they just don't have the relationships. They don't have the meaning, the meaningful connection that every human being is meant to have and needs to have. Yeah. And like you said, social media is created, like, it's a tool for a lot of really good things, and it's done a lot of really good things in the world, but it's also brought a lot of evil and a lot of negative aspects. And one of them, I think, is the attack on women and the family. It's just made it so much easier to do, and so much harder to combat.
Yeah. I mean, it's attacking the women, it's attacking the men just the same. I mean, look at how many men are overweight.
Yeah.
Look how many men aren't capable of doing a lot of stuff. Like, but it's also, I mean, everybody has their different idea on life. Their perspectives are different. So to me, what a man should do should be able to do anything physical. They should be able to fix stuff. They should be able to provide. They should be able to protect. And it's like, it's slipping in society to where it's been lied to that women don't need that protection because they can protect themselves, which in turn turns men to softies. Like this whole, I guarantee you, if women decided that they didn't want guys like that anymore and they wanted strong men, men would shift pretty quick because as a species, men are pretty driven by what women think or what women want.
That's right.
And so it's like, women, you can control what guys do.
Yeah, you guys have all the control. It's true. If you want more manly men, then start going after manly men. Stop going after, the freaking
Sissy boys.
Sissy boys. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think you hit it on the nail on the head, and it's sad to watch, but
and it's not even like they have to be these physically fit men. It's just men that are just morally strong. They know what they want. They know what they're like. They aren't afraid to put in the work. They aren't afraid to go after what they want. Like, physical stature doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like, you can meet people that look not like they aren't intimidating at all, but they could be these mental monsters.
Yeah.
Like, it's all in how you take on the world. Like, just people that are wanting more and make life better.
I think that is exactly right. Like, you said it perfect. It's men who want more. We live in a society where I feel like not only men, but people in general are so okay with kind of settling for what they get and kind of like what they've been told they should have.
Yeah.
And I think few actually want more and want to be more and create more. And I think that that's ultimately what separates people. I think that's what separates people like you. Like, it's the idea of, I'm not okay with just existing. I'm not okay with just having, I don't want to say mediocre, but just like the standard.
Well, it's
right.
And it's all like I think that one of the things that a lot of men struggle with is being able to provide, especially in these times, for their family. And I think there's nothing more commendable than somebody going out and doing their best and trying to make life better for their kids and their family, their spouse, and then just being a good parent. Like, if you're doing that and you're trying to be the best that you can for your kids, for your family, there's nothing more commendable than that. You don't have to be rich. Like, there's plenty of rich people that are absolutely miserable. Like, I know people who have a lot of money and their family just falls apart. Is that rich to you? Like, does that solve your problems? Can money buy your kids? Like, it'll buy happiness for a little bit, but it goes back to what we talked about earlier, is that if you can't be happy with what you have, all the money in the world's not going to make you happy, because after you get all the shiny things, you're still going to go back to where your mind settles. And so if you can't be happy with what you are, who you have, then you're going to be chasing something that you'll never catch and you'll never find happiness.
Well said, man. Well said. Dude, well said. And I want to go back to what you said about it is hard. Like, there's so much fake on social media and there's so many guys out there. I'll just say this, as a man, it's like anybody else. I mean, it's not just kids who are, playing the comparison game and women. It's like men are too. I mean, it's a reality. And whether you want to admit it or not, us men are also inundated with these constant stories of other men who are making more money, who have more things, who, have the perfect life, whatever. Like, social media shows that, right? And it is hard because, especially when you're somebody who, like you said, wants more, right? You are constantly trying to create that better that better life for your family, that better life for the people you care about. and you are in this place. And when I say you, I mean me too. Like I find myself in that place of like, am I doing enough? And, obviously I also want to be successful. I want to create financial freedom for my family and for me. But you're right, man. The amount of people that I know that have lots and lots and lots of money have some of the most hollow lives. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to remember, right? It's hard to remind yourself of that because you get in this place where you're like, I want to be wealthy. I want to create financial wealth, financial freedom. And somehow the world tricks you into forgetting that there's so many people out there that have all the money in the world and they are so unhappy and they don't have families. Like it's true. And it's sad, but most of the guys that I know that have, big successful businesses or whatever, they're on their second marriage. Their kids are either struggling to be close to them or they are not close to them. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a really important piece to talk about because there is a lot of pressure and it is really hard nowadays to create the life that you want for your families. I mean, you basically have the option of you either work a 9 to 5 and you make the money that somebody decides you make, right? And of course you have the ability to create value and make a little bit more than most people. But like ultimately, if you want to be an entrepreneur, like myself, and you want to create and you want to create the ability to, decide when you work, like create your time and or I guess create your own schedule and also have no ceiling as to what you can actually make because it's all on you, right? It does add a level of stress and a level of feeling like you're not doing enough and like you're not getting it fast enough. I know that that's been a struggle for me for sure. And it's hard because, I do try really, really hard to create the life for my family that I didn't have and that I want them to have so badly. But it's also hard to balance that and be the present father that I want to be, right? And we tell ourselves these lies of like, well, we have time. And it's true, man. Every time I turn around, my kids are getting bigger and older and it's insane, bro. My boy is almost 6 years old and it's just like, holy
time
crap.
Flies.
Yeah. But I think that is something that is, it's important to talk about because I think there's a lot of men out there that are struggling and are trying their best to create the life they want for their family. But it's so easy to get caught up in that relentless pursuit of greatness and success and financial freedom that you forget that the last thing you want to do is sacrifice the things you're doing it for.
Yeah. I think another thing, everybody's going to have a different take on it. I think that doing all that you can only do that. Like you can't do any more than, like if you are trying your best to make life better, then that's commendable. Like you can't create something out of thin air. I mean, if you stress too much on trying to do that, then you're going to miss out on stuff. Like you do the risk. If you take more risk, the reward can be higher, but then you also risk more. So like for starting your own business, you're going to work longer hours
for sure
in hope that risk pays off with a bigger reward at the end of it.
Well, and your sacrifice.
You're
ultimately you're sacrificing things. Like I don't get to go to all of my son's jiu-jitsu classes. Like I got to it yesterday and I got to it, a few weeks ago, but I don't make it to every one of them. And, I'm not home nearly as much as I want to be. And I miss bedtime sometimes. Right. And like, those are sacrifices that I'm making. And the question is, like you said, is it worth it? And I think that is the like eternal struggle of man of like, is the sacrifice worth the reward? And am I doing the right thing? Or am I just being like every other person who's made the same mistake in thinking that if I sacrifice, the reward will be worth it at the end?
Yeah. I think that with that, as long as you're trying, then it's commendable. I mean, I saw this story of this dad that killed himself because he was behind on bills and just stressed out about the stuff, and he left behind, I can't remember if it was one little kid or two kids and his wife. And it's like, what did that solve? Like suicide,
Nothing.
like it breaks my heart when I see that stuff, because not only did you just leave that burden on, pass the burden on, but look at what you just did to your family. Like that's one thing I wish that I hope that people can see, is that that's never the answer. That pain that you're feeling is going to be amplified times 100 to everybody that loves you. And I know that people feel like nobody loves me. It's like, that's just your mind lying to you. Those are the demons coming out. Like I've thought like suicide's crossed my mind before. It's like, yeah, it'd be easier. Like I wouldn't have to deal with these shitty legs. I wouldn't have to deal with a lot of stuff. It's like, but what does it solve? Like, yeah, it ends my pain, but then it creates pain for everybody else. And then it's also the fact
lasting
that,
pain too.
Yeah. It's not, it doesn't just stop hurting. It stops hurting for you, but then for everybody else, you've just kicked them right in the gut, like forever. And so like suicide, yeah, it's like, okay, your pain's gone, but it's also the fact that then you're a quitter. And like I'd never want to be known as a quitter, and then that's a stain on the name. Like I would never do that just for the sheer fact of my name. It like I just don't quit, because all you have in this life is your name.
You just took the words right out of my. I was literally just going to say that. I was going to say all you have is your name.
And so once you stain that, then it's.
I wouldn't even say it's all you have in this life. You have a lot in this life. You have your family.
But it's what you're remembered by.
It's what you're remembered by.
Yeah.
It's your legacy is your name, right? And you know, people talk about, I've heard Alex Ramosi talk about this a couple times, about how like the reality is most people are going to forget you after you're dead. And like, even the people that go to live on, how long do they live on for? And what do people actually remember about them? And that is a perspective to consider. But at the same time, you're right. Like the only thing that you really have once you're gone is your name. And I could not agree more. That is something that constantly drives me, is the idea of, and it's not even what am I going to be remembered? Like, I don't really care what other people remember me for as much as, dude, honestly, it's my kids. Like the thing I care most about is what my kids remember me for.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it tough too, because, you know, again, when you're in that situation where you're missing a jiu-jitsu practice so that you can, you know, continue to create and build the life that you want for your family, it's always that question of, well, am I sacrificing something? Am I falling into that same trap? And I think about that often. I don't know if you do. And I don't know if anybody that's listening to this does, but like I constantly think about the question of, in order to be truly wealthy, right? And in order to have what you call FU money, is it just that, like, is it a requirement that you have to sacrifice your family? Because so many people I know, almost all of them, I would say, that have FU money have sacrificed their families.
Yeah. I think it's all up to what is wealth to you.
Yeah.
Like it truly comes down to what your perspective is on it, because you can have somebody that looks at wealth as having FU money to be able to do what they want, but then not being able to have a family that wants to do it. And obviously I'm not saying that that's what happens, well, but no, there's a lot of people that happen with that.
And that's why when I'm talking about money, I make sure to always say financial wealth.
Yeah.
Because I agree. I think wealth, there's different types of wealth. And I think you decide what your wealth is. I truly believe that true wealth is, you know, having loving relationships and having people that care about you and not being alone. I mean, I think that ultimately is real wealth. If you can leave this world with that, I think you're wealthy. Financial wealth is more what I'm asking. And I think that's what I find myself thinking about and questioning, is whether or not, in order to have financial wealth, and like you said, what you call FU money, do you have to sacrifice your family? And it seems like to me, because I haven't really met, honestly, as I'm thinking about it, I don't know many people who have that kind of money that haven't sacrificed their family at some point, whether they're on their second marriage or, like I said, their kids are not super close to them or whatever it may be. Like, it just seems like it's almost a guaranteed requisite for it. And then it's like, well, what's it worth?
Yeah. I've seen both sides, as far as both people that have ruined relationships, and then those that still have the relationships. And I think it's being able to manage them, because if you put so much emphasis on one, then you start to lack on the other, and then that starts to spread more and more and more. And so I like, for me, wealth is being able to give your family the best life you can, and that you have the relationships with your kids, with your wife, with your friends. Like, obviously your family is the most important thing that there is. And it's funny how your mind shifts when you start to have kids, and
true, man.
you never knew you could love a little shit so much.
So true,
They're
dude.
such little gremlins, but
Oh
they're
my
just the
gosh.
best things. And but I don't think that people realize that just being the best person you can is enough. And you can always have the bigger dreams to chase, but you have to be able to be happy with what you have.
Well, and dude, it goes back to what our world has become. I believe this. It goes back to social media. It goes back to the fact that everything is available. Information of everything is available. Like, think about it in the olden days when you didn't know what other people in the world were really doing. And so you didn't have anything to compare yourself against. So that's why I feel like so many people were so much more content with just like, I am leading a good life if I am a good man, I'm a good husband, I'm a good father. I'm creating happiness for the people around me. I'm leading my community. Like, those are the things that I feel like determined what was a good person years ago. And now society has shifted to create this idea that there's so much more than you need and you have to have because of all the perception of what everybody else has. And it's a really scary place to be, but I agree, man. Like, the number one goal that I have for my family is really just, it's really simple. It's just, I don't ever want my family to need anything.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if I can say that they went their entire lives never needing anything, I feel like I've done a pretty good job.
I think even more than that, I think they need you as much as they need anything else. Like,
Yeah, agreed.
and it's, even if you've only got a little amount of time, it's just being able to know that their dad loved them.
Yeah.
Or loves them.
Yeah.
Like, in a world I think some of the reasons why we have all the problems is because we've gone from a selfless world into a selfish world. If you want to be depressed, think about yourself only. If you want to find joy and happiness, think about others. Like, service, there's something to be said with service and helping those that can't help themselves. Like, that's one thing that was really hard for me, is that my dad was a scoutmaster for 30 something years, most of my life. And so I grew up doing scout stuff, helping with service projects, doing the flags and stuff. And so, like, for me, that's where a man was supposed to be able to do the manual labor stuff, helping those things. And after my accident, I realized that I can't do a lot of the stuff. Like, I can, if there's any tractor work or things like that, then I'll do whatever I can in that aspect. But I started to realize how much more I was needed in showing people that just because something happens to you doesn't mean that life's done. And like, I've got a lot of friends that have been blown up overseas, and one that was stepped on an IED, and he's got about 8 inches of bone on one leg, and that's it. The other one's gone. And then I got another buddy that had both hands blown off, just beyond the wrist and right below the elbow. And we had those guys down at our place in southern Utah for this Warfighter Made thing. And you want to talk about a perspective, which do you think has a better life? Having your hands or having your legs? Like, and they both still do so much stuff, Eddie and John, and they're living life. Like, obviously they're going to have their down days, but everybody's human. You have to remember that you're going to have your down days no matter how good you are.
No one
you're going to have down days.
Yeah,
and
no
so,
one doesn't have that.
So it's being prepared for those and knowing how to get yourself out of those funks. And that's where being able to laugh at yourself. Sometimes you just have to laugh through the bullshit. Like, it sucks. It sucks that it happened, but it is what it is. And how are you going to react to it? How are you going to change? How are you going to adapt? Like there's so much to be grateful for. And just because you can't do something doesn't mean you have to be sad. Figure out how to do something else. Like we are creatures that are able to do so much, but we limit ourselves by our mind. Your mindset truly is like, there is potential that we haven't touched. And it's just looking at life in a different way. How can I do this differently? Like I can't go drive a car. If I go and put my foot on the gas, it's going to hit the floor and I'm not going to be able to stop without pulling the throttle. But if I use my cane, then I can drive just fine. So there's a way to do things, and people that say things are impossible are usually just small-minded and they can't think of a way that it is possible. I'm a true believer that you're capable of anything that you want to do. It's just how hard you want to work at it.
It's awesome. How do you show up for your kids specifically in your mind? Like, how do you feel like you show up as a dad?
Just show them love. I mean, at the end of the day, love's the thing that you have the most to give. I mean, financial, you obviously want to make life as great as you can for them, and the struggle is little as can be. But even when you watch your kids, you want them to struggle to do things so that they realize that they can do it. Like to do hard things to realize that they're able to do it. And unfortunately, you have to watch them fall in order to get better. And so it's no different.
Well, you kind of have an excuse about watching them fall, bro.
Yeah. And that's...
You have an excuse we all don't have. We can stop them. You have to watch it happen.
I know, but that's where you learn.
Dark humor for you, buddy.
Yeah, that's where you learn. And like, that's where it's like, even watching my girl ride her Strider, it's like, man, this is scary, but that's how you learn. Like I've crashed so many times on my bike, and it's just, you learn how to fall, you learn what not to do. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know, I truly think though that at the end of the day, if you're trying your best for your family and you're doing your best, you don't have to be making millions of dollars. Like if you're raising kids that are good, respectful kids and you teach them how to work, then you've done everything you can. Because so many kids don't know how to work because their parents never pass it on. And I mean, if your parent never taught you, you can be the first generation to teach their kids and then change that next generation. Like we're always able to change. It's just how we look at it.
It's making the choice. I think ultimately it comes down to choices.
And it's hard.
Yeah, for sure. It's awesome, man. I love that. Well, to wrap this up, I mean, you've given a lot of advice. I usually ask people what's one piece of advice you'd give people, but like you've given so much advice in this. I would say, what would you say society needs most right now, and how do we move towards getting it?
I think people just need to find happiness in a world that's so dark. Find that thing that makes you happy and brings you joy. And you truly are capable of finding it in any situation. You just have to decide. Like life will happen to you. It's a matter of fact. But you've got to be able to just weather the storm and realize that storm will run out of rain and the sun will shine. So it's just being able to push on through those things. Like your perception is everything. Like how you perceive life is everything. So if you look at it for poor me, then you're going to have a victim mentality. If you look at it as it's happened, what do I do now? Like how do I keep pushing forward and take that kind of victor attitude?
Just send it.
Yeah. Like you are truly in control of your life. You just have to change your perception and perceive it differently. Your mind it all starts with your mind. What you think about, you become.
Well, somebody who freaking shrunk a tumor in less than 40 days, I think could probably say those words, and I think everybody could probably take you seriously. So it's awesome, dude. Tanner, thanks for coming, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, it's an awesome conversation. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Please subscribe to YouTube. Make sure you share this episode. Share any piece of it. Screen record, post it. I don't freaking care. All I ask is that you tag the Ian Wendt Show on Instagram, as well as share the links of where you got it from. But I think this conversation will help a lot of people. So thanks, Tanner.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.